President for Student Affairs here. For most of you all, or many of you all, I have worked with either in other organizations on campus or in capacity as a RA. But this will be the first time that all of us will have been together with you all on the Residence Life staff. And every year, the RAs, the Residence Life staff ask me to do something with you all. And what's kind of scary is they let me pick what it is that I want to do. Last year, I have a really specific memory of this day. We were downstairs in the lounge, and we were talking about how to talk to people about masks. And I remember we role played. That is, we did some role play there.
Yeah.
Did some role. Do y'all remember? I mean, we were like, okay. I remember that, and I remember feeling very differently about the start of school than I did this year. And I don't know. Anybody remember how we felt last year?
Scared.
Cautious.
Okay. Scared, cautious. Anything else? How are we going to do all this?
Yeah.
Were we even going to get to stay?
Yeah.
Should I unpack? Yeah, is that legit?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Do we feel differently this year? Yeah. Why do we? What feels different about this year?
We're set in stone.
Okay, we know more.
Yes, we know. Yeah. I feel like we can manage it better.
Okay, managing. I love that. Thank you. That's just perfect segue. It's like you spent time with me this morning. Okay, managing. Anything else? Is there still scary? Yeah. Okay. All right. So I walked in today with my mask on, and without me asking, you all put your mask on. Might I ask you why you chose to do that?
Respect.
Okay, thank you. I think that's a big part of the lesson today. A couple of things are changing, and I don't want to spend a significant time on COVID because, frankly, we are COVIDed up. Okay, but there are some things that we need to be thinking about in our role as leaders. Okay, and there are some things that are changing. The past 24 hours, my life has changed yet again. Okay, and so I feel like it's important to share that. A couple of things. You all know that the state of Oklahoma passed a law in May that says we cannot require mandatory mask wearing or vaccination. That is a direct contradiction to the CDC's guidance for COVID right now. So what do we know when things are in contradiction? What happens when things are contradictory?
Conflict.
Conflict can happen. What else can happen?
Confusion.
Confusion and anxiety. Okay? So today I made a conscious decision in wearing my mask in, and I want to tell you why I'm doing it. Because we are about to announce some things on campus about being a mask-friendly campus. Okay? We want people who want to mask, who feel that that's best for them and for the people in their lives to mask, that they know it's friendly to do so. Okay? And you'll start seeing that in the next couple of days. But yesterday, the CDC said, hey, it doesn't matter if you're vaccinated or not. We think you need to start wearing masks again when you're in public spaces with other people because the Delta variant is so fast and transient. Okay. CDC seems like something random out in Atlanta, right? That's where they're headquartered, by the way, out in Atlanta. They're like, who's the CDC? Are they a webpage? You know, what are they? Don't know how you feel about that or them. But a long time ago, when we first started this, I made a choice that said that I personally was going to follow the CDC guidance as closely as I could. Okay? And my choice for that is twofold. One of which is you. Okay? I look at you all, and part of my job is to keep you as safe as possible. And if that means that I mask up when I don't want to, I'm going to do it. I don't put that off on anybody else. That's a me. Okay? But the other reason I do it, and how I intended to ask you all today, and I just want to show you, I think that we can help people understand why it is that people choose to mask or to not in a way that is not scary or bullying or you got to do this or anything like that. And I just want to show you my mama. And I'm going to pass this around. My mama is 90 years old. Her name is Pat Cobb, and she lives her life in one room right now. I'm not saying this to make you sad. I'm not saying this to do anything. I want you to understand my choice. Okay? My mom, I wasn't able to see her from March until November of last year. We moved her into my sister's house, which is great because that means my mom can interact with us now. But for me to continue to be able to spend time with my mom and get COVID and not be very symptomatic, we could pass it on to her very easily. And it's just not a game I'm willing to play. So for me, I'm gonna mask. It's up to you. So today what I had intended to do was to say, if you're willing to mask with me and for me, please do so. I use that as an example that I feel like you might have some instructors in your classrooms. You may be at a program. Your best friend may be immunocompromised. You may be immunocompromised and choose to say, would you wear a mask for me? And they may say no. And they're not going to be penalized, and we're not going to grade people poorly, and we're not going to kick them out of stuff, okay? But I think that it's fair to ask your peers, your friends, and neighbors to do what you need. But you got to stay it, okay? So I appreciate you all out of respect for me choosing to mask up, but I just feel like it's fair for me to tell you why that I did that today, okay? So thank you for that. And if you ever want to write a note to my mama, she's an English teacher, so just make sure that it's grammatically correct. She'll send that stuff back with red marks, okay? But she's a good lady, and I just talked to her right before I walked in. I want to know who you are, and everybody who's worked with me knows I like to play Tell Me Something Good, okay? So your good thing can be little, it can be big, it can be about this summer, it can be a brag. It can be anything that you want to share, and I'm going to tell you mine to start off with, but you have to introduce yourself. My name is Liz McCraw, and this morning I was driving to Pruitt's, and I drove past a sign that said, "Make your own sunshine." Okay, it was written on the window. And I was like, that's so cool, that's so inspirational. And then I realized it was at the tanning salon, which made me laugh really, really hard. But I loved it because I don't know if you noticed, I have on my sunshine t-shirt today. And I'm trying to make sure that I'm starting out positively, okay, with a positive spirit. So my good things today is I made a commitment, I put on my sunshine shirt, and right there the tanning salon and the university, right on. So that was my good thing for today. Who would like to share their good for today? Toddy, stand up, tell us who you are, make sure that everybody knows, and tell me you're good.
Hello, I'm Tati. I've been standing in this back corner this whole time anyway. But my something good today is I got to ride in a golf cart. That was kind of fun. But mostly for this summer is I got to hang out with my little sister more than I ever have, because she's usually so busy and her schedule lightened up, so I got to see her a lot more. So that was my great summer.
Thank you. Good. I love golf carts and little sisters. Those are about two of my favorite things. Yeah, Kirsten.
I'm Kirsten, and my something good is I made Corvettes.
Woo!
Yay!
Good to watch Kirsten do a little singing. Fun fact, I was a Corvette in the 80s. Not the car, the dancing, singing kind. Baby.
Hey guys, I'm Fanny. My something good is I got to be director of recruitment for the biggest student organization on campus, which is me.
Yeah.
So I'm so proud.
Excellent. Very good. Everybody's gonna go. Kelly?
I survived a really hard meeting with Star Res this morning.
Yay! Remember, what someday when you're on one of those calls, you will know exactly what she's talking about. Okay. Yeah, please. Emma.
It's Emma. Most of you know me. But this morning I took my anatomy final and I passed it with an A. So I got a 4.0 my freshman year.
Dude.
That's no joke. That anatomy file.
I'm
That's
saying.
a serious beast right
That
there. Good
is.
job. What else? Good job.
How y'all know? Hello. My name is Trell. Something good. This summer, I taught kids how to be more athletic in football, and I taught my little sister how to drive.
Ooh,
That was good.
Love that.
snaps for that,
I
man.
also am loving the spontaneous clapping, hollering, whoop whoop noises that y'all are making. Well done. Okay. What else we got?
Well, my name is Heaven, and during last semester I had a deer run out in front of our car, and over the summer I got my car repaired. So,
Yay for surviving the deer attack.
Yes.
For your car.
For a dog,
Yes.
I'm Donald, and I got hundreds on both of my geography tests this week.
So I absolutely love it that y'all are sharing academic successes as well. That's an easy way for us to always kind of remember that's what we're for. And so I love it when that happens. Good job.
Unfortunately, I'm getting off the academic trail. But hi, dudes. My name's Thaddeus, and I got to go see the Grand Canyon for the first time. This is one of the wonders of the world. It's great.
Whoa!
So completely jealous.
Yeah, have you been able to go before?
No,
you
it's
should
on my
go.
bucket list.
I've been there.
Right
It
after
took
leaving
me
the
about
county.
long.
Yeah. Yes, that's fantastic. Good. We want to hear about it.
I'm Amberlyn, and I play softball, and at the end of the year, I received Freshman of the Year.
You were so proud of that, and you. That was a big deal. That was very cool.
I am Chris. Same with that is getting off the academic trail. This summer, I also went to the Grand Canyon.
Did you really?
Yes.
When did you go?
Did you?
For March.
In March? That's cool. I didn't know that. That's awesome, man.
And I also got to fly gliders out there, so that was fun.
That's awesome.
Very cool. I love the traveling. Yeah. You know, one of the cool things that you all could do as a program at some point is say, hey, I've traveled to the Grand Canyon. He wants to know about that, how to get there, how to do it, you know, in a couple of different varieties or ways, and look at my pictures. And I think you might be surprised who all would show up who's wanting to do a road trip and know a little bit more about that. That's true. So, yeah.
Yay, Morgan.
I'll go.
Hello, Morgan.
Hi, I'm Morgan. And this summer I got to do a lot of traveling. I got to go to Vegas, and that was so much fun.
I asked you to tell us more about Vegas, but there's a rule there.
Yeah.
So, no more Vegas talk unless you just want.
My name's Caleb, and I got accepted into Southeastern, and I moved in 2 days ago.
Dude, what? Caleb, welcome home. Yeah, good. Antonio, you want to go? Antonio, come on.
Excited.
Okay.
I don't have nothing excited to say. That's
Couldn't it be exciting? She's good.
Hi, my name's Antonio. I'm here.
That's
I thought there were some other things that you were proud of this summer.
The fact that he's here makes me happy.
Hi, my name's Trace, and I was a freshman last year, and I was able to juggle football in school, and I just got really decent GPA.
Good. Are you still footballing this year?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good deal. Yeah, it's been hot out there, hasn't it?
Definitely.
Good.
Hi, I'm Trey. My kids are already setting drill at their band camp this week. It's crazy. Grade 3, they're already setting drill. That's
Wow.
crazy.
You did just have a really good coach advisor,
Oh,
choreographer.
Mr. Reeser is incredible.
Good. Good. I mean, I was talking about you. Good deal, Danny.
I'm Danny, and I got to go kayaking this summer.
Oh, nice.
It's all
Okay, still very cool. Okay, so kayaking, one of those things you think, oh my gosh, I'll never kayak because like you see it going down, you know, crazy rivers and over things. Sometimes you can just go in still water too. So talk to Danny about that. It's a neat thing to get to do. But Kayla, girl, it's all you. I didn't see you. I did.
So close, so close. Hi, I'm Michaela. I guess a good thing that happened is that I got a promotion and now I'm a senior RA.
I'm a little shocked that you didn't write senior RA Michaela on your for all to see. Well,
I didn't write my name.
welcome to the management team here. Welcome to the management team. Anna, you want to go?
Yeah. I'm Anna, and like Michaela, I'm an assistant role director, so I'm excited about that. It's a new adventure.
In that new role. You lead it differently in a new role. That's exciting stuff for us. So, okay. And that's everybody. You got everybody, right? Okay. Good deal. So this summer, as some of us shared what we did this summer plan, so I had great thoughts this summer. I was going to do big things, go big places, do all kinds of stuff. And instead, I went to the doctor for the first time in 18 months, because you all know after COVID, sometimes you have to go back and get some things done. So that ended up with, just to kind of share with you, so all of a sudden, I had a little cancer on my nose that had to get removed, so that was interesting. Had to get a crown, which I never had before on a tooth. That was interesting. And then I found out that I had to have major surgery. That was interesting. The cool part about that is, A, I'll feel a lot better than I have for a while, so I'm excited. The second cool part is in the hospital, 2 Southeastern graduates were my nurses. And I thought, isn't that cool? A little awkward at times, but cool nonetheless, because I knew them. And they were like, oh, hi, what can I do for you? And I went, okay, I have to tell you. And yeah, okay, trusting you, professional person. Anyway, so that was cool. But the thing that I didn't expect was I had been at home for 4 weeks. And this is my first week back. And so if you see me just lay down on the floor in the afternoons, because I get real tired. Like these full days are kind of kicking my ass, okay? And so, but what I wanted to share about that was that 4 weeks, if you think about this, if you had 4 weeks completely off, couldn't work, no obligations, can't do the dishes, okay? Have to ring a bell if you need something, because you're not allowed to lift, pull, kick, push, any of that. It's kind of crazy, okay, to do that. Those of you who know Dr. McCraw particularly care. But you find yourself with time to try to figure out what to do. You have deep thoughts, not so deep thoughts. You watch men in puffy shirts swashbuckling on TV, like Last Kingdom, or you watch Ted Lasso, or you watch, reruns of New Girl, whatever it is. You watch all those until you're done, and then you're like, holy crap, I still have stuff to do, time on your hands.
Yeah.
So, okay, all that to tell you that I spent some time really thinking about the year I wanted to have as a leader, okay? Which in turn kind of led me to some things that I thought might help you all as leaders to think about. I don't want you to ever have to have 4 weeks of nothing to do time, but in your 4 hours of free time you might have, these are some thoughts that I might want you to share. If you want to, feel free always to write them down. I believe that what we write down imprints on us differently, okay, than when we just listen. But don't feel you write. I've got notes to share with you later. So, a couple of things. One of which is your role here at the university is significant. So I'm going to remind those of you all that have been on staff before, but those of you all that are new, you are mission critical. Okay? You think at the university, we say faculty are the most important. Okay, we have to have them. Okay, they are. But for me, you all are the most important people here at the institution because you carry the mission of the university with you into living space, into living and learning space. More growth will happen where you are in the halls than anywhere else on this campus. People learn how to live together. People learn how to share. People learn how to say what they mean when you don't share. Okay. People have to learn to take care of themselves differently, how to get themselves up, how to be successful, engaging with other people, and all of that is the most significant learning that can take place in the hall. So you are mission critical, and you are 100% supported, all right, from your assistant hall director, to your hall director, to the pro staff, to Dr. Darcy, to me, to the president, okay? So that means we got your back, okay, in what you do. And we need you to be good at what you do, okay? So it's kind of a symbiotic relationship there for those of science majors. There's a symbiotic relationship there. It's important that we are getting what we need from each other. So part of what we're going to do is really give you all some clear expectations this week in training, okay? The other part of it is you need to be clear to us with what you need. The more you are clear with us, the better we can do to help take care of you and make you the best at what you got. So I wanted to share that with you. So tell me, right now, if you were to name 2 goals of the RA staff, what it would be?
Know your residents.
Know your residents. Build a community. Knowing your residents goes to building a community. Boom. What else? Yeah.
Keep them safe.
Keep them safe. Boom. All right, those are magically, they're my 2. See right there, building community safety. Okay, so right there, those are the 2 things that I have. We spend a lot of time training you all around safety measures because when people live somewhere, that requires a certain degree of safety. And Control's going, need my safety term. So, knows all about that. So, in that vein, there are ways that we can do that. Okay, building a community felt really hard last year because everything was about keeping your distance. And building community means come here, right? All right. So one of the things that I thought about, one of the many days that I wasn't, at work here, was thinking about how do we build community through the distance. Okay, that idea of reaching out through the distance. And for me, I've worked out a couple of different things based on that. You know, right now we are in a world that is full of outrage. I don't know if you flip open your social media, somebody is outraged about the SEC and OU's move to it. I didn't start that in this room, we're not gonna talk about it here, but people are outraged. Some people are outraged about masks and vaccines, which we know about. Some people are outraged about politics. Some people are outraged because somebody at the Olympics is wearing a unitard and somebody else isn't. Like, people seem to start that outrage. And I think our answer to this, to build community, to build someplace safe, is a real simple fix. Be kind. Be kind. Okay? And so to help send that home, and we're going to talk about that, what that means for being kind, I'm going to ask you all to pass or get a kind bar. This is your reminder. And for those of you that have peanut allergies, there's a biscuit here with coconut butter. Okay? So we'll pass that around, get you a kind bar. And think about this. You're welcome. Thank you. So what does that mean? When I say be kind can fix a lot of things, be practical about this answer. What are things that you can do to express kindness in a world full of outrage?
Say hello to people you know on the street or just in the hall.
Yes, absolutely. Emma, did you notice? I noticed last year people acted like because they were wearing a mask you couldn't see them. Okay, so part of the way we get through that is to specifically stop and speak. So thank you for bringing that one up. There was a guy downstairs and then every morning he was eating his breakfast down here in the Union. And every morning I walked in and there were just the two of us down there. And I'd say, good morning. And he'd act like he didn't hear me or see me. This went on for a couple of weeks, and finally, the third week I walked up to him and I said, do you hear me when I come in? And he was like, yeah, I just didn't know you were talking to me. Okay, now partly, in fairness, when you mask up, you think that you're hidden. And so I'm going to challenge you all through your kindness, and what Emma said, to see people, to look at people, okay, to interact with people, whether your mask is on or off. What's another way you can be kind when you're talking about being kind to residents? Treat them with respect. Be genuine. Okay. Give me an example of those two things quickly.
Like genuine, like when like you're passing someone, they're like, hey, how are you? And they're like good, but like like sometimes you're not genuine and then like, how are you? Or just like, oh, how are you? And then you pass and it continue, but like when you're gonna stop and like, hey, how are you doing? How are classes? How is your life? Everything, just being like intentional.
Being kind takes a little bit of time. And it takes intentionality. Go ahead. You talk about being respectful.
Just treat them like a human with human rights. They have their own mind, they have their own personality, they have their own point of view. And just know that, like, get yourself off your own high horse and treat them how you want to be treated.
Yeah, yeah. So some practical things like that. You may have some students that are fussing or fighting with you about protocols, whether that be guests in a room or alcohol infractions or things like that. The quickest way to diffuse a situation is to be kind. I mean, if I come up on you and Kirsten's kind of getting after me about something and I'm like, come up on her, I'm escalating. But if I say, hey, let's just sit down for a minute, or you get a drink of water. Well, you know what I'm saying? All of a sudden, that kindness, and it's kind because people need to release. And kindness allows that release, okay? And for me, if you all been in an office ever in a hard situation, there's one thing I always do. I pull out a bottle of water and I stick it on the table and say, drink this. And it kind of starts to cool people down. Now, you don't walk around with, bottles of water and your stuff, but having somebody sit down and address a simple human need helps put people on them. And that's a kindness. It might be something else for you. It might be the kindness bar. It might be an M&M. It might be a peppermint. I don't know what it is, but that could be something that y'all keep in your arsenal and say, hey, do you want this gummy bear? Maybe not gummies. I take that back. Don't pass out gummies. They're confusing as hell right now. Okay? All right. So, but think about something that, a Laffy Taffy. Something like that you might want to do. Okay? My second option for me is be curious, not judgmental. Okay, that's a Walt Whitman quote. Walt Whitman's another poet. I don't want to pretend that I'm a big poetry buff because I am not. But that was quoted through Ted Lasso. Is anybody in here watching Ted Lasso? It's not the best show of all time.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. I were to give you an assignment today, I would say, right now, go back and watch the whole first season of Ted Lasso. 8 hours long, best 8 hours that you will spend. And I'm saying this because he is genuinely, it's like a happy show. Okay, it makes you feel good. You smile the whole time you watch it. You chuckle, you look at your person that you're watching it with and go, oh, isn't that awesome? Okay, it's that kind of show. So this is the premise of Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso is from Kansas. He was a football coach at Wichita State University. Okay, for those, that's to help kind of put it into perspective. Kind of homegrown guy. He decides to take a job coaching football, European football, which is soccer. Okay, for those of y'all that are unsure. In a serious league in England. He doesn't understand it, doesn't know the rules, doesn't know anything. So people underestimate him. Okay, so I'm going to play this little clip. It's short, about be curious, and I want you to really listen to what Ted says. Okay.
Y'all take your darts over here pretty seriously, huh? This and, what's the billiard game y'all do that sounds like a brand of cookies? Snooker? That's it. That's the one. Yeah, boy, I'd love to curl up on a couch under a weighted blanket watching.
I apologize. There is some language right here at the very beginning, and I should have given you the language warning. Okay.
You've got mail and devour a box of Snookers. See what we got here. Hey, there it is. Do you like darts, Ted? Oh, okay. I'm more of a, a cornhole man myself. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. How about a game? I mean, we could maybe wager, say, £10,000.
Well, as my doctor told me when I got addicted to fettuccine Alfredo, that's a little rich for my blood. How about this? If you win, I'll let you pick the starting lineup of the last 2 games of the season. But if I win, you can't go anywhere near the owner's box, at least not while the bet's still yours.
Ted, what the hell are you doing?
I believe some folks call it white night. No, I'm on this phone my gut here. What do you think?
You're on. Okay. Double in, double out.
Whatever you say, Ruby Deuce. Yeah, just let me know if I'm winning or losing, all right?
Oh, I forgot I had these on me.
Oh, wait a second. Forgot I'm left-handed. Oh, it's gonna be a hoop.
180! Wait, Rupert, get in! Shut your stupid little twat mouth, or I will shut it for you.
Shall I be giving you the lineup card now, Ted? I shall be putting Yobasonia back on defence where he belongs.
That's exactly what I said, didn't I?
No, it's not all Ted's fault. My ex-wife's the one who brought the hillbilly to our shores. I know she's always been a bit randy, but I never thought she would fuck over an entire team.
Hey! Better manners when I'm holding the dart. Please. Mate, what do we need to win?
2 triple 20s and a bullseye.
Good luck. Rupert, guys have underestimated me my entire life. And for years, I never understood why. It used to really bother me. But then one day, I was driving my little boy to school, and I saw this quote by Walt Whitman. It was painted on the wall there. It said, "Be curious, not judgmental." And I like that. So I get back in my car, and I'm driving to work, and all of a sudden, it hits me. All them fellas that used to belittle me, not a single one of them were curious. They thought they had everything all figured out, so they judged everything, and they judged every woman. And I realized that they're underestimating me. Who I was had nothing to do with it. Because if they were curious, they would ask questions. Questions like, have you played a lot of darts, Ted? Which I would have answered, yes, sir. Every Sunday afternoon at a sports bar with my father from age 10 until I was 16 when he passed away. Barbecue sauce. It's a Rupert.
Okay. All right. So, be curious, not judgmental. Okay. Based on that little clip about that, what does that mean as a student leader? What does that mean in your role as an RA? Say it loud, say it proud.
Do not make assumptions about others.
Okay, so we don't make assumptions about the shoes that other people are walking in, right? The paths that they're taking. We have to not do that. I saw two other hands, Emma and I saw Toddy.
To try to learn about your residents, not just assume you know everything about them and
Yeah.
like she's saying.
To actually learn about it, be curious as to who they are, and don't judge them for things that you don't know anything about, right? What else? Yeah,
People are cool, man. And if you ask them about things, you'll be surprised.
yeah, people are cool, you know, it is amazing what we can find out, what we enjoy and like about other folks, if we will stop to figure that out. Again, in a world full of outrage, okay, we are trained, all of us, on social media to spend a second and make a decision. Okay? That is, we either keep scrolling down, do we want to see something else, do we want to stop and watch this video, what about it? We're trying to make an assumption of the first glance. Sometimes we pick our partners that way, don't we? We swipe left or right. Okay, I say we, not me. That ship sailed a long time ago. Okay, but I guess what I'm saying is that we're trained to do that. And so from a leadership perspective, if you want to get the best out of each other, if you want to get the best out of your residents, you got to be curious about who people are. Okay, and truly curious. Okay, and I think you'll be surprised how much that can inform the leadership and help people to reach their full potential when you know what it is that makes them tick, or why they feel a certain way, why they feel strongly about something. Okay, my next thought today, so we've talked about be kind and we've talked about be curious, is to dare to lead. So this is the book that I was telling you all about when we came in. It's Brene Brown. She was doing her thing, and then Oprah did the magic Oprah thing and touched her with the hand of Oprah, which is similar to the hand of God, and boom, Brene Brown became famous. Okay, like crazy famous. Okay, to have Oprah touch my hand, you know, that'd be awesome. I went to see Oprah, by the way. Went to see her. It was one of the last things I did before the COVID shutdown, and went to see her. And this is what I'm going to tell you: she is all that, for real. American Airlines, standing on the stage, I felt like she was talking to me. The whole time she might as well be going, Liz, listen to me. I was like, what? And I'm not like a big fan. She just was, it was really good. Anyway, Brene Brown and Oprah. But Brene Brown specifically, she is a PhD professor in the Houston area who has done social work. And that was kind of her background there. She has written and works and has written a series of books, podcasts. She makes television appearances. You might see her in magazines where it talks about different things. But she talks about as a leader that requires courage and vulnerability. Okay, courage and vulnerability. And so she, in this particular book, talks about brave work and tough conversations and how it is that it requires both courage and the vulnerability to have a tough conversation. And so from a leadership perspective, I felt like I've been hit over the head with a hammer thinking about it is okay to say, I'm not for sure how to do this. I'm scared of this too. I'm worried about how this can go. And then have the courage to work on through that. I think that's particularly apropos right now as we're still facing some uncertainty in the world. It is okay for us to say, I'm a little bit scared. Maybe I'm a lot scared. Okay? And I don't know exactly how this is going to go. But I do know if we sit down together, we can figure it out. Okay? And so I don't have a video from her today. But what I did want to share is there are three things that she said. Three things. One is who we are is how we lead. And what that means is going back to authenticity. I think we've talked about that being genuine. Authenticity has to do with who we are is how we lead. So that requires you as a leader to really think about what do you value, okay? And are you exhibiting those values all the time? Okay, and are you being intentional with that? Okay. The second thing that she shares is courage is contagious. Okay, when you show courage, other people really respond to that feeling, and they want to stand next to you and be courageous too. And all of a sudden, it's not just you anymore. And then another person joins in, and another person joins in. So remember, being courageous doesn't mean being alone, okay? Because it's contagious. And it's a happy contagious, not like a COVID contagious. It's different, okay? And I love this sentence. Be brave and afraid at the exact same time. Be brave and afraid at the exact same time. Again, that just really rang true with me personally. Because sometimes I feel like I have to really put myself out there from a courage and a bravery standpoint on things that I'm scared to death of. And it just allowed me to be okay with that. That I can be a lot of things at one time. And so those are the 3 things from the Dare to Lead. And that is, so one of our door prizes today is the workbook from Dare to Lead. So if you were interested in learning more about those 3 things, then this is the workbook. And like I said, I've got some more copies of that too. All right, watch my tongue. Practicing grace, that's my next thing. What do you think I mean by grace? Yeah, go ahead.
Just giving people a chance, hearing their side of whatever is happening, their story.
Yeah, giving people some space to not be perfect. Right, for me, grace is, for many it's tied to faith. I tie it to acceptance. For me, grace is about it's kind of a mixture of forgiveness and acceptance all mixed up into one thing. But I call it room to breathe. Grace says, I'm given room to breathe. And so what I wanted to share about practicing grace is that grace has to start with yourself. You can't be perfect all the time. I don't know how many of you all would describe yourself as perfectionist, but it is okay not to be at 100% all the time. Okay? And it's okay to say, or to treat yourself with the same kindness. We talked about being kind to other people, to yourself. How many of you all are kind to yourself like you are to others? Good for you. Seriously, good for you. Not very many hands normally go up with that. We're our own harshest critics. If I just done this, oh my gosh, I let myself down here. I am so mean to myself, you know? And so I think that the leadership message this year, one of the ones that I'll be sharing, is how do we practice that grace with ourselves and with other people? And so for yourself as a student leader, that might be self-care. That might be taking time for meditation, working the labyrinth, raising the flag when you can't go another step and you need to take a rest, a mental break or whatever that is, okay? We just saw Simone Biles, greatest of all time. I think she's fabulous. Raise the flag. How powerful is that? And I know people feel all kinds of different ways about it. My gosh, so many people have so many feelings about someone they don't know. But when I saw bravery, I saw grace, I saw her act through being brave and afraid at the same time. And I thought that was remarkable, and I'm interested to learn more about that. But that grace starts with giving yourself a break, okay, as you give it to other people. And again, kind of going back to that idea of be curious. Don't just automatically assume because somebody's dug in or is speaking harshly. Give them a little bit of grace. You don't know what happened their day. This has been a hard 18 months for a lot of people. We don't know what loss they've experienced. We don't know what in their world has changed so dramatically. They're starting fresh. We don't know. So before you jump in there, give a little grace. Okay? All right. So how might you practice grace as an RA? What are some things that you can do? It's kind of hard, isn't it? Think about it. So does anybody ever try to change shifts or duty times with you guys? Do sometimes you think, oh my God, are they ever going to work a shift that they were assigned to do? Maybe a little grace is that they need to do that. Maybe it isn't that they're shirking a responsibility or that they're not taking care of their business or they didn't plan well. Maybe they really do need somebody else to be 100% that day. The additional grace, yeah.
Like planning a time for yourself through school and work, just like blocking off a certain like an hour or something where you just focus on yourself.
Absolutely. And giving yourself that grace, think about this. Are there things on your calendar that you absolutely do? Like you don't, what are those things?
I meditate every morning.
You meditate every morning? Do you, those of you who are athletes, do you always go to practice? Okay, so you've said that's wildly important to you. You're wildly important to you too. Give it the same benefit of the doubt. practice grace is ask each other, what are you doing for yourself today? Okay? Y'all can't see me smile when I say that, but what are you doing yourself today? Okay, what are you doing to take, oh, you seem overwhelmed. How about we go walk today? You know, let's have a walking meeting. Let's get up and move around. Let's change, let's go sit outside for a few minutes. If you all do that together, you are showing and practicing grace with and for each other. Okay? All right. And my last big thing today is about being the light. Okay? So I have my shirt. Does anybody want to read my shirt?
I will. Do it this way. There is always light if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it.
Okay. So this quote is the last line of Amanda Gorman's The Hill We Climb. Anybody watched Biden's inauguration that day? Okay. Anybody see randomly, if you didn't, Amanda Gorman give this spoken word poetry speech? I can remember Kelly and I called each other the minute that speech was over, and we're like, oh my gosh, that is like the most amazing thing I have ever seen or heard. And so I want to talk about being the light, but I thought if you all will bear with me, I'd like for you all to watch a few minutes of this speech, because I could pretend to perform it, but that's not right. Okay? What's right is to hear Amanda Gorman give it. And so I'm going to get it pulled up real quick. So be thinking about being the light and what that means to you, because I'm going to ask you in a second.
Mr. President, Dr. Biden, Madam Vice President, Mr. Emhoff, Americans, and the world. When day comes, we ask ourselves, where can we find light in this never-ending shade? The loss we carry, a sea we must wade. We've braved the belly of the beast. We've learned that quiet isn't always peace, and the norms and notions of what just isn't always just is. And yet the dawn is ours before we knew it. Somehow we do it. Somehow we've weathered and witnessed a nation that isn't broken, but simply unfinished. We, the successors of a country and a time where a skinny black girl descended from slaves and raised by a single mother can dream of becoming president, only to find herself reciting for one. And yes, we are far from polished, far from pristine, but that doesn't mean we are striving to form a union that is perfect. We are striving to forge our union with purpose, to compose a country committed to all cultures, colors, characters, and conditions of man. And so we lift our gaze not to what stands between us, but what stands before us. We close the divide because we know to put our future first. We must first put our differences aside. We lay down our arms so we can reach out our arms to one another. We seek harm to none and harmony for all. Let the globe, if nothing else, say this is true. That even as we grieved, we grew. That even as we hurt, we hoped. That even as we tired, we tried. That we'll forever be tied together, victorious. Not because we will never again know defeat, but because we will never again sow division. Scripture tells us to envision that everyone shall sit under their own vine and fig tree, and no one shall make them afraid. If we're to live up to our own time, then victory won't lie in the blade, but in all the bridges we've made. That is the promised glade, the hill we climb if only we dare it. Because being American is more than a pride we inherit. It's the past we step into and how we repair it. We've seen a force that would shatter our nation rather than share it, would destroy our country if it meant delaying democracy. And this effort very nearly succeeded. But while democracy can be periodically delayed, it can never be permanently defeated. In this truth, in this faith we trust, for while we have our eyes on the future, history has its eyes on us. This is the era of just redemption. We feared it at its inception. We did not feel prepared to be the heirs of such a terrifying hour, but within it we found the power to author a new chapter, to offer hope and laughter to ourselves. So, while once we asked, how could we possibly prevail over catastrophe? Now we assert, how could catastrophe possibly prevail over us? We will not march back to what was, but move to what shall be, a country that is bruised but whole, benevolent but bold, fierce and free. We will not be turned around or interrupted by intimidation, because we know our inaction and inertia will be the inheritance of the next generation. Our blunders become their burdens, but one thing is certain. If we merge mercy with might and might with right, then love becomes our legacy and change our children's birthright. So let us leave behind a country better than the one we were left. With every breath from my bronze-pounded chest, we will raise this wounded world into a wondrous one. We will rise from the gold-limbed hills of the west. We will rise from the wind-swept northeast, where our forefathers first realized revolution. We will rise from the lake-rimmed cities of the Midwestern states. We will rise from the sun-baked south. We will rebuild, reconcile, and recover in every known nook of our nation, in every corner called our country. Our people, diverse and beautiful, will emerge battered and beautiful. When day comes, we step out of the shade of flame and unafraid. The new dawn blooms as we free it. For there is always light if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it.
There are over 900 towers in Dubai.
Okay, so I selected that specifically about Be the Light because I find it inspiring. What inspires you? What is it that's inspiring to you that makes you want to be the light?
Seeing the way that my actions can impact others.
Okay, so seeing the certain, after you've done something, how that is impactful for others. What inspires you? Yeah.
Just the awe of the world. I know I mentioned the Grand Canyon earlier. I don't think there's been anything more inspirational for me in the past 2 months, just seeing a big old crater in the ground and being like, wow, that's just pretty. I just want to do things that are pretty.
Beauty.
Yeah.
Beauty. Seeing something that was there that is awe-inspiring. I think there's probably also a little bit of that. Look at all the people else who came here to see this. There's hope in that.
Yeah.
That it's hopeful in that, and its permanence is hopeful too. What else inspires you?
Watching people like stand up what they believe in or standing up for what's right versus just being quiet.
Yeah, silence is not acceptance. You have to stay and talk about what's important to you, and actually stand up for those things. Other things that inspire you: music. You all have music that is inspirational to you, makes you want to be a better person, makes you want to try harder, work harder. Maybe that's it. Art, things that you've read, people. Are there people who are inspiring to you? Who would some of those people be?
Mom.
Your mom. It could be family. It could be close. There are people who are inspirational to you close for different reasons. Let me tell you, that little 17-year-old 14-year-old swimmer in the Olympics. Anybody watch her from Alaska? Okay. She won her race, and get this, the only pool that she could swim in Alaska was only 25 meters long, okay? Which meant that she had to practice in it. But what's more remarkable about it is those other swimmers have been swimming in Olympic-sized pools. They've been doing that. She's just swimming. I think she was so shocked that she won that she didn't even know. Did y'all see her look up at the clock? Okay, she was swimming in less than ideal circumstances, okay? She got up every day to do it anyway because it meant something to her. And I find that inspirational. I mean, I'm not going to like swim or anything like that. But that would be exercise, and I don't do that a lot. But her ability to see through what was in front of her, that obstacle, that challenge, and to come up with a way to do it is inspiring to me. This particular point is inspiring to me because I think you can Google it and get the whole text of it. But you can pull out lots of different sections that might mean something to you. Okay? I showed it to you today, and again, I'm just going to read this one part specifically because I think in leadership, one of the things that I would challenge you to do is this. When day comes and we step out of the shade, aflame and unafraid, the new dawn blooms as we free it. For there is always light if we're only brave enough to see it, if we're only brave enough to be it. So when things are scary or dark or we're afraid or unsure, we don't always have to look to somebody else to find the light because it's always in us. We just have to let it out. Okay, we're not going to sing this little light of mine or you are my sunshine. Just know that you have a responsibility as a leader, as a person, to share your light. Okay? So as we pray today, think about be kind in your leadership. Be curious and non-judgmental. Dare to lead. Okay? Practice grace. And be the light. Okay? All of those have something in common. The first word of all of those things is what? It's a verb. It's a part of speech, but isn't it? Okay? It's all a verb. That requires action. Being a leader requires you to act, to take stock, and to make things happen. So I leave you with that challenge as the RAs. Make things happen. Do it from the place that feels most authentic for you, and let that light shine out all over the place. Because we need your light. I need your light. You need your light. Let's all share it with each other. Okay? Sound good? Challenge accepted? Yes, ma'am.
I just want to say one of the best parts of Ted Lasso is when it's at the very end of the first season, when he sees one of his former players being like criticized by his dad because he passed the ball to another player and he wanted him to basically be the like one-man show. And Ted Lasso sees this and instead of like just being like whatever, like because it's the other team, he writes him a note telling him that he made a good pass and gives it to the players instead of just sitting back and not doing anything. And instead of being like judgmental, like, oh, your dad's mean or whatever. I really like that. It's one of my favorite parts.
It's great. Y'all watch it up. I'm serious. Whenever you feel bad, watch Ted Lasso. If you're interested in one of these books, hand me your card. No judgment if you don't give it to me. Oh, you didn't write your name on it? I can't draw you if I don't know your name. All good? Everybody cards? Okay. All right. So I'm going to give these out real quick, like. Wait. Any other cards? Any other cards? Yes? Are you writing cards? Okay. All right. If you would, while I'm drawing, get these turned around to draw, if you will write on a card your takeaway from today. The one big thing that was your takeaway today.
Oh, I thought we were supposed to write it on the card we gave to you.
Well, that's okay, but go ahead and write it again, because I'm going to need you to do something different with that card, okay?
There's another card over here too.
There should be cards on your desk. Pick 3 out of those.
No, like that one.
Okay, thank you. All right. And the big winners for today's, we will all be winners all the time. Not in that way that they give trophies to kids that lose in soccer, not that way. But because you're here and choosing to be here today. Trey, Amberlyn, and Faith. Come on down and get your books. Woo. Yeah. Okay, all right, good deal. If you would, leave your takeaway with Morgan.
You want a name on it or not?
I don't have to have your name on it. Okay, but I hope something that you heard today makes a difference for you. That something today makes you want to think about something a little bit differently. And know that my office is on the other side of the building. It's glassed in. Please feel free to knock on the glass. Or come on in and say hi and talk to me about whatever it is that you want to talk more about. Okay? Can't wait for the semester to start, and I'm so excited that my very first time back with students has been with you guys today. So I thank you and I appreciate you, and I can't wait to see what happens next for you.